first tool used for fact-checking, Google reverse image. I think we shall go through the day. The second, Teen Eye. So you can always fact-check information. Don't be the one spreading on your status wrong information. Eh? Okay. That's good. So we come to the master's round. What is the master's round? The people before you, just ahead of you, are going to be judging you today. They are from Debate Institute Africa. On their shoulders is years and years of experience in public speaking and debating. What they'll be doing is to show a bit of flair and glamour and wit as they articulate their thoughts about a motion. In so doing, you will get to learn about the standard for speech, but also appreciate that those who are going to be judging you are not joking. I'm going to request the first speaker on the proposition side to announce the motion, and then I talk to you about who they are, and the debate will start. First speaker, read out the motion.
This House believes that Uganda should ban the import of used electronics from developed nations, even at the cost of short-term economic or technological benefits.
Could you come again a bit slower?
This House believes that Uganda should ban the import of used electronics from developed nations, even at the cost of short-term economic or technological benefits.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So on the proposition side, we have Philomena. Philo, would you like to raise up your hand? Come on, some warmth and energy. Okay. She was a finals best speaker and runner-up of the Own Your Future debates and a quarterfinalist of the World Women's Open. That's like a global championship for women. Again, she was a finalist at the Royal Rhetorics. This is a West African debate championship. Was a finalist, made it to the finals, and has been a finalist at the Zimbabwe International World Schools Debating Championship. She's also a part of the active debating community in Uganda. Then Nelson. Nelson, would you like to raise up your hand? Yeah, Nelson is a semi-finalist at Uganda's Easters. Easters are it's a regular tournament that happens within the Easters, so he made it the semi-finalist and has been a top speaker at the Transform Open Africa Schools Debate Championship, and it's our honor to have you. All right, let's come to Daniel. Daniel, who is normally the light of the room. Yeah, Daniel is the president of the DIA Judges Fellowship, so whenever the best speakers of every single year, we recruit them into our fellowship to teach them adjudication over the last 6 months. He's led a fellowship, so you will love to hear him speak. I hope you guys don't use any of his word examples as an example. I'll just stop there. Then Jesse, an old boy of Seta High School, right? Seta High School. Is Seta in the room? Seta isn't? Okay, fine. So, an old boy of Seta High School, top speaker at the Green Schools Championship, and a semi-finalist of the Zimbabwe World Schools Debating Championship. Okay, let's come to Janice. Janice, would you like to raise up your hand? Janice Nkaja is a leading social media influencer and content creator. Some of her videos have featured on Elon Musk's page. Like, guys, Elon Musk giving you a mention, guys. There are levels to these things. Janice, please wave at people. Yeah, so he's a top social media influencer, currently doing international law at the University of Bocconi, that is in Italy. Did I pronounce the name well? I need to go for Italian classes. And second best speaker, DSU Nationals 2021, former debate Cranes member, 2022. Okay, the list is long, so I'll stop there, right? Let's come to Jibril. Jibril, please raise up your hand. Jibril is a former debate captain of the national debating team, currently doing law at the Makerere Law School, a top muta in the school at the moment, one of the team managers of the national debating team, and has won national championships in the count. Writing World et al. Thank you. They will be taking you through the debate. Colleagues, I know you love speaking, but you can only speak for 2 minutes. Okay, let's have the first speaker.
Hello, my name is Nelson Buyinza. I'm going to start the debate in 3, 2, 1. Chair, I think in this debate we need to understand that we're living in a globalized country, right? We're living in a globalized world. That means that there is a level of universality in terms of standard that you must be able to achieve. We need to be able to understand that when you are banning something, there are 3 levels to it. 1, it means that it is harmful to the people that are using it, but 2, it doesn't achieve the value that it is supposed to achieve. 3 is that it doesn't dignify the people that are using it. In this particular debate, you have a developing country like Uganda, right? But in this debate, they are always indignified in terms of how they're used as dumps. We think these countries need to be able to reach a certain level of dignity in terms of how they're able to achieve standard in terms of technology, and thus far in this debate. 4 is that we need to be able to understand Uganda itself as a developing country and the context in which it exists. 1 is that we need to understand that these countries are shifting from a subsistence economy into economies that are economic, right? That means that you must be able to maximize the capitalism that exists in terms of dignifying them, in terms of like the standard of technologies that exist in that kind of particular status quo. We need to be able to understand the nature of funds that are being imported or the technology that is being imported to these countries. 1 is that this technology is reaching its end time. That is to say that you want to be able as a country to reach a certain value of standard. That is to say that these kinds of technology that is being imported, that is reaching its end time, can't be able to dignify you or can't be able to reach the sustainable development that you want to exist. We think team opposition, even when they achieve it in the urgent time, you must be able to look at the future generations. At a point in time that you don't look at how sustainable it's going to be, you don't fulfill the value that is going to be able to necessarily evaluate, but also you don't dignify the people themselves that are using it. We think, Chair, that the argument here is on just how you're able to compromise the help that they're supposed to offer. What happens in this kind of world? What happens is that you normalize a culture of begging and borrowing from the developing countries. The reason as why these people feel like they're always going to be indignified, or they always feel like they're going to, or they always feel like they're going to be developing countries forever, is because you normalize that kind of culture. We think the impact of that is that you lose trust. People like UCC, or organizations like UCC, then lose the value that they want to be able to achieve to their citizens. Rest. What happens in a kind of world where you ban or put this in place? 1 is that people learn to stand up for themselves, but also, as I conclude, they learn to demand for standard. The reason as why we're always going to be seen as developing countries or as low-developed countries is because we keep on depending on the developed world. We think this has to stop at a point in time that you want to be able to achieve sustainable development, but also at a point in time that you want to be dignified as a country that is developing in a globalized world. I rest my case.
Students.
Hello? Okay. I'm a bit nervous, I'm sorry. Panel, my speech starts in 3, 2, 1. We find it rather absurd that Team Affirmative comes here and give a delusional, impractical, elitist case that does not necessarily account for the reality of many Ugandans in the country and the African continent in general. One basic factor is that many Ugandans are living below the poverty line, and that is they live under $1 on a daily basis. What does that mean? Accessibility to tech, electronics, all those particular things is going to be exponentially expensive. An average laptop, a new one, costs 1.3 to 3 million Uganda shillings. How then do you justify that you're going to not only limit access to technology in schools, hospitals, corporate spaces, just because you feel elitist in your argument? Panel, their burden today is to justify what is the substantiality of the trade-off. Why in their world, their objectivity is better? They have not yet practically said that. Because all we hear from them was that the white man is using us and the white man is using us as a rubbish bin. That's all we get from their case. But panel, in our world, we seek accessibility, accountability, digital inclusion, employment, and potentially bridging the digital gap. How then are we going to compete internationally in education, sustainability, and the corporate world if we do not have access to technology? In our world, we're not just executing for a ban, we're executing for a proper digitalized transition. What does that mean? We're not necessarily going to ban the importation of electronics, but rather we are going to regulate what we deem as proper standard. We are looking at an average Ugandan. How are we going to include them, not necessarily excluding them from the digital world? What else do we come from here? They come and say that the tech that is coming in is outdated. Panel, why then do we keep reusing their tech into our own tech? Take an example of different Build Uganda, Buy Uganda branded projects that have come into existence, most of the tech we are using is borrowed from hand objects. If it is in fact outdated technology, why do we keep reusing it? They have to justify that claim. They come here and say that we have lowered the standards of importation, which we do not deem true in any various way, because we believe that there's a regulatory body that is responsible for how we are going to utilize these particular services. Panel. In a world where policy reform is very important to understand the contextual capacity of different individuals, particularly Ugandans in this case, Team Opposition does not believe that banning something that gives access to financial stability, education, and overall sensitization of the masses is practical in any single way. For that, I bid to end my case.
Okay, I'll start my speech. In 3, 2, and 1. It is very absurd that Janice agrees that laptops are expensive that are in Uganda, but also these are the same laptops that are being imported. But even you take your best case scenario that, well, now Ugandans cannot access the cheap laptops and they have to buy the expensive laptops. When you access this cheap laptop, it is understood. We tell you, these are at the end of their life. That means if you're going to use it, it will work for maybe 1 day, 2nd day. You're going to have that repetitive cycle of repairing or buying new things. So at the end of the day, even when you buy these cheap things, they defy the value because you end up buying them and on and on. But even when you tell you these are understood, they do not meet the global scale. So you will still be using, you will still be harbored out of the global scale. You cannot trade, you cannot do very many things with those substandard things. So you do not have the value that we create. We tell you, the creation of these imported second-hand goods is to create and bridge this digital divide that we have. But at a point in time, they defy that value by not giving us the quality of technology we want or the economic value we want. We choose to ban them. We tell you on 2 things. Why we are banning, because 1, it does not achieve the technological value. These devices at most of the times are at the end of their use. They do not, first of all, they do not reach the global standard. That is why sometimes you're using your phone, but your phone is so slow. You cannot compete with someone who is having a phone that is very fast. All in the names of, well, we want to bridge this global divide. But the global divide is becoming bigger because now you're on the internet, but you cannot access what other people are accessing. So it is defying its value, and you do not achieve what we want to achieve. That means it needs to be banned. But we tell you, what happens when we ban? In our world, you tell you, the phones you're importing, it's not that they are 200 or 100K. The imported second-hand phones are also equally expensive. They're 300K, they're 400K. They are locally made phones here that are better. But now the normalization of us using these old phones, I'm not taking any, the normalization of us using these old phones creates that suppression of the import of the phones that are locally made here. The phones that these bodies like QCC can be able to monitor, reduce things like hacking, reduce things like the security online and all those things. Now people are blaming UCC for not being able to put standards on maybe hacking or cyber security, but UCC cannot work through your fake phone. UCC cannot be able to use your device because it is not recognized. They tell you, okay, we want to help you, but your device is not recognized. At a point in time we ban them. Now people here normalize maybe using the already existent technology that is up to standard, but 2, also demanding for technology that is good. The people out there will still want to export to you, so they will still want to give you phones that are good. But the fact that you always take in the second-hand phones, they no longer even want to give you the good phones because they know, well, we need to have somewhere we dump our e-waste. This is where we dump our e-waste. That is what happens on our side. We tell you the ban is the only solution to these problems in status quo.
Hello. Okay, I'm going to take 1 POI and I'll ask for it. Yeah, normalize taking them. Anyways, let me set my timer with a used imported gadget. Okay, so my speech begins right away. I think, Chair, why proposition never has a case, they never take any efforts to prove to you what they present in the world where they ban these gadgets. I think what heavily becomes more of their burden is to justify the trade-off. When you want to say, we want to lose every benefit that comes along with these gadgets being in status quo, you need to clearly paint an alternative world where firstly, people will have access to these gadgets, secondly, all the economic benefits people have been getting from the other so-called bad gadgets, how they are able to continue with that chain of benefit. Unless you prove that, which they can't do in their third speech because that would be too late to bring a case, I think would be clear that they never have anything to say in this debate. What do they tell us? That, oh, we think these gadgets have problems. Chair, I think we need to have a debate that is realistic. I have a Samsung gadget. It's not for 2001. This is a current gadget, though it is imported. I am able to get closer to the competition that the world has set. We are already like 300 years off the grid of competition. We can't worsen that by taking away the little we have. All we need is to say we utilize these gadgets for the greater good. They tell you that they are alternative. We use locally made gadgets. Interestingly, in Uganda we only have button phones produced locally. They can't access the internet, and this is the side they want us to believe in. I think this is very problematic. These are the kinds of people that do blame men that leave 10,000 at home, yet there are those that never bring anything. We think if a table has anything, even when it is not the best, we can set over that and see how we make it better. What does Janice tell you? That the world that they have is very expensive. If your alternative is to import new gadgets that have not been used at all, why it is terrible to have is very simple, that the cost can never be the same. This is basic economics. If this gadget is 5 million when it's new, when it is imported at 2, it is cheaper. Basic economics. Chair, what they say is, oh, look, we are equally like having gadgets that are expensive. Even if that was the case, what we say from opposition is that they are not as expensive as what happens in the alternative world. We also tell you that what we want to do is to have an internal standard that we set, that if we are to get gadgets, let us not gadgets that are so terrible or in a terrible situation, because anyways they are used gadgets that are not in a very bad position. And what we need to do is very simple: create a standard for our people to grow. Our children need to have access to the internet. If we choose to grow internally as Uganda from zero, trust me, we would never get that, and many generations of people would never even have access to TVs. It's a very terrible side that we can never buy in. I beg to submit.
All right. The chief adjudicators should be coming close. We're coming to announcing the draws soon enough.
Okay, I start my speech at a count of 3, 2, 1. Chair, I think we need to distinguish what the debate is about. What Jim tells you is that, oh, they are debating about imported phones. What the debate is about is reused imported phones into these different countries. That cannot be the chat on their side of that. All arguments that they present are irrelevant on that stance. That means that even the engagement that we can have with them is on another level. We think we need to get them another day for them to debate that kind of thing. But the second idea they tell you, that on the comparative that they want to exist on their side of the house is to have things like regulations. We tell you that there are already regulations within these kinds of different countries. But the problem that we have from their side of that is that we never have regulations having to work on those phones. Why? Because they're already having things like from those other countries, and they're never going to be tracked by UCC and these other bodies that regulate things like phones. The other thing here is that there's already a reason why we think that these countries are already removing these phones. One, there's already frustration for these individuals to get things like spare parts. This is an S9. It has a line. I've tried to get a new screen for it, but there's nothing that I could do because there's no update for it. Second thing here, the intuition pump, another intuition pump here is that you can never use iOS 16 if you're using an XR. That is something that is going to happen on their side of that. We think on our side of that, the comparative that exists is we tell you that you're going to have more sustainability. How does this come about? We tell you that most of these individuals are then going to have to do things like innovation for themselves to have better phones. Even the phones that they tell you, actually, Jibril is just a liar. That thing that we think that we are to tell you, that semi phones really work and they help you. They cannot say that, oh, Ugandan phones cannot work. I think the chart on their side of that cannot then exist on our side of that. We think that the metric within this whole debate is on 3 things. One, if it is necessarily harmful to you as an individual. We think that firstly, on harm, it already harms things like the environment. If it's already harming the environment by things like when they can blow up and so on, that means that you're not necessarily going to be safe as an individual. The second idea here is on the value of the phones that you get. On the other side of that, these people continuously have things like going to fix, going to get spare parts and whatnot that are not even there. You get frustrated with the phone of just 450k, then you can get a Techno from here, even a Simi that is going to help you you things that already are going to make you, you're going to just get straight at the end of the day. I won't take you. I think we should just engage the serious guys in this debate. The other thing that we get here on our side of that is the whole idea on maintenance. On our side of that, we tell you that you have better maintenance of these gadgets. Their side of that, you always have to come and go and import. It is already reused. Someone has already discarded it off. Why do you have to use it again? With that, I like to rest my case.
Okay, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Chair, I think team proposition does not necessarily get what opposition tries to bring out in this debate. By you coming to say that Techno is a Ugandan-made phone, I think you're necessarily coming out to buy into what team opposition argues for at the end of the day. By the value that you say that the Techno phone you're opting for is better off, that could be a regulation that will tell you that there'll be regulations for us to bring phones that are not necessarily in a worse situation. What team proposition tries to paint out is that by me buying a second-hand iPhone or something that has been burned, is that necessarily tomorrow I need to take it at the end of the day for repair or something like this. I've used this for like 2 years at the end of the day. Right now it has iPhone 16, which is second-hand, 2 years, no kind of spare part or that kind of thing. That is the kind of regulation we are opting for. When I decide to come and buy into something that is already new or brand new at the end of the day, we think this is something that is going to be more expensive or what at the end of the day. This is something team opposition is trying to pay for you at the end of the day. We think the nature of Ugandans is that we do not have the ability to come about and afford these kind of things in the end of the day. This is something that they themselves characterize to us, that it happens within low developing countries as Uganda. That means we are necessarily financial minorities. Jibril does a great job when he characterizes to you, or he presents you a comparison, that a second-hand Samsung Galaxy is not necessarily the same price as a first-hand Galaxy. That is basic economics. If you didn't study it, that's up to you. But you think for someone who likes that kind of thing, it's something that you're easy to know. What we opt for is that bring this second-hand thing that is able to provide for us these benefits. Chair, notice the things that we then add for you at the end of the day. They add you for things like generating the value or that kind of thing. We necessarily think, as someone who has never been on foot or that kind of thing, it is illogical for you to come out and dream driving a Range Rover within one day. We think the narrative here is that start with a bicycle, proceed to a Lamborghini or that kind of thing, and then you'll be where you want. That is what we are arguing for in the opposition end. We need a gradual kind of transition to what we are arguing for. What they argue for is that wake up and maybe come and buy this kind of Range Rover or what at the end of the day. That is something that we do not argue for. But then secondly, even if we think what they are arguing is right, Chair, I think it would be just fine if I called you poor and gave you food rather than you delaying or coming out to claim that you're rich and you're starving hungry. That is something we are just fine for you as the opposition side. We think necessarily as Ugandans, we do not have the capacity to come about and maybe have the things of first level or that kind of thing. That's why we opt for this kind of thing that we necessarily think we can be able to regulate, as we say that we are not necessarily coming about to be like America, but we are going to be a step close to America. That is what we offer on the opposition side. What they're arguing for is that when we lack all these kind of things, we should just sit down as Uganda and come about and compete with America without a basis or that kind of thing. We think the transition that then happens to create some kind of that then happens when you have something to settle. Chair, we think the opposition bench tries to create for you some kind of mechanism that affects the most marginalized individuals in this society. That's the Ugandans, individuals who cannot afford something like 3,000 Uganda shillings on a daily basis, and you expect them to find things like a laptop of 2 million within that case from proposition is null and void. Proud to oppose.
A round of applause for what was a debate, right? So, for those of you who have been saying, I don't want to retire, the young people don't have potential, do we need to repeat the statement? That was nothing short of a statement, right? Aren't we ready? Yes. Aren't we ready to take over? We're ready to regulate digital safety? All right. So in Debate Institute Africa, we believe that public speaking is the mother of everything speech. So even debate is a type of speaking. So we will not just have a debate masters, we're also going to have a public speaking masters. Now, the person who's going to give this public speaking masters is the current captain of the speech programs. The speech programs are the national public speaking team of Uganda that represent the country in international competition. Still, resident at Debate Institute Africa, and that is none other than Amoya Letitia Hadija. Amoya, let's welcome Amoya Letitia as she gives her master's speech. Would you like to clap for her as she comes? I'm going to request the chief educators to be really close, within a nice distance, because we are getting to the next stage.
Hi everyone. Mic check 1, 2. Hi everyone. Hi. You have to forgive me, I'm so nervous. Hi everyone. Okay, you're going for a tournament. I thought you'd be excited for the rounds and everything. Can I hear some applause, some happiness? Hi everyone. Okay, that's better. So yeah, my name is Amoya Letitia Hadija, as TJ had said. Yeah, I was introduced. So I'm going to give you a 3-minute speech. Okay. I begin my speech in 3. I begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Imagine posting a 3-minute video that will cost you the rest of your life. Back then in my high school, I was known as the popular kid. I mean, why not? I was known for all the popular parties I used to attend, all the popular people I used to interact with. But it didn't lead me anywhere. You know, back then, I had that social life. Everyone wanted to talk to me. Everyone wanted to know who Letitia was. Everyone wanted to interact with me. But all I did was distance myself from people. And if you wanted to reach where I was, you had to have the respect or popularity that I had. Till one day, when I grew up, while I went for this interview, the first thing that they told me was, you are a very well suitable candidate for this job, but due to the popularity I had back then, the pictures I posted back then, didn't lead me to get the job that I wanted. But I told myself, me, Letitia, I know I will get this job. I know I can do it. I went for my second interview, and the same thing was told to me. You are eligible to get this job, but due to your past, we are not able to give you that job. You know, what I'm trying to tell you is that social media is not a bad thing. We can all post, we can all have fun, but what exactly do you post on social media? Do you post something that is going to help you in the future? Do you post something that is going to build you as a person? As I end my speech, I want to ask you if whatever you do on social media helps you out as a person.
Incredible, incredible. I think the message has sunk, right? It has sunk. Deep, 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 deep down. That's good. I'm going to welcome Harold Sawanonda, who works with the Debate Institute Africa, to give a brief about their chief adjudicators. I now need you on stage. Actually on stage. The one for debate here, the one of public speaking here. Harold, would you like to speak?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Am I audible? One last question. Is my voice okay? Okay, because last week my voice nearly tormented me. My name is Sawanonda Harold Victor. I have quite a number of names, but those are the actual official names. Sometimes I am also called Otim. I will not tell you why, just so you know. So my role here in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, is quite very, very simple. I am here to talk to you about Debate Institute Africa. Who of you guys has heard about DIA? Just raise your hand by any chance, right? Okay, if you have an expensive watch, you can also just raise your hand. All right, so who are we as DIA? We are the Debate Institute of Africa. We cherish ourselves as a premier debate and public speech education institute. Now, our mission is quite easy. It is to nurture the pillars of the African dream. It's not just Debate Institute Uganda, it's just Debate Institute Africa as a whole. So what sets us apart is that we are the official home of the Debate Cranes, which is the national debate team of Uganda. And at the same time, we are the official home of the Speech Paragons, which is also the national public speech team of Uganda. We have a track record of that has been able to transcend time and borders. And very much of the speakers that are here, that were speaking to you in the master's round, and Letitia as well, are people who have been nurtured through our own systems. Even I myself. The other things that we do is that we have quite a number of programs. One of those is the recent Paragon Rhetorica, a completely public speech program. Under it is where you have the speech paragons. And the person, Letitia, who has come to give you a speech today, right in front of you here, deals with that specifically. She is the captain of that current team. Every year we have trials where we have the best of the public speakers in the different schools, and winners in different competitions come together to only get 20 slots of the national public speech team. The same also applies to the debate team. We have had the debate team travel beyond Uganda all the way to Vietnam and Malaysia just recently. So apart from that, apart from Paragon Rhetorica, we also deal with international schools. We have the recent International Schools Speech and Debate League. So our reach is not just within us alone, but also in other schools that do a number of other curriculums. Now, why I define us as an education institute rather than a debate club is that our major focus is not just on debate and speech alone that stops in the debate rooms that you have. Our focus goes way beyond that. We deal in curriculum development, we deal in coaching of students, and by the way, we have an upcoming holiday camp for debate and public speech happening in the first week of September. Perhaps if anyone is interested in that camp, you can always register at the registration table. I am right there. There is Gracious, and Letitia too, who was giving a speech here, is also going to be there at that particular camp. The idea at Debate Institute Africa is that it's not all about the medals, the accolades, and the awards you have in your chest, or it's not even about the fact that you have broken in a competition. It is about nurturing you and shaping you into a better speaker. Apart from that, then, I would also want to tell you that we also deal with training of adjudicators, and very many people here have gone through the same system. So we are here today to collaborate with Uganda Communications Commission because we at DIA find it important that we need to empower youth for a safer digital future. So we believe that the kind of vision that UCC or Uganda Communications Commission has is the one that we actually share because we deal primarily within the youth. So there's quite a lot of opportunities within this same program, just beyond debate and public speech. And there's also quite a number of broad opportunities even within DIA itself. We not only just coach you in holidays, but we also provide school coaching programs to debate and speech clubs. The idea is that we want to always look out for quality. We are sure that we give you the very, very best, and you are not trained to be a mediocre, but a better speaker who's going to be able to create change out there. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have hours and hours, and I think as of now I am competing with the eats. Me knowing that it's not really a steady competition for me, so I'm about to leave stage. One last thing that I will say is that we are glad to have each and every one of you here. Please, this is an education experience. Learn your best and learn from the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Would you clap for Herod for that brief?
All right. So on my left is the Chief Educator of Public Speaking, Shadia Musoki, an experienced adjudicator with quite an itinerary of a CV. For those of you who are doing public speaking, she's going to do more introduction, but also coaches the paragons. Now, on my right hand is Henry. Henry is the former captain of the national debating team, a quarterfinalist at the Pan-African University Debating Championship. That's like quarterfinals of the Africa Cup of Nations in debate and public speaking. And yeah, you would want to pay attention to what he's going to say. We're going to start as follows. We'll hear from the Chief Adjudicator of Public Speaking and then head to the Chief Adjudicator of Debating. Shadia?
A good day, everyone. My name is Shadia Musoke, and I'm going to be serving as the Chief Adjudicator for this tournament. I am a student at the Confucius Institute of Makerere University. I am a spoken word artist. I coach public speech, and under the umbrella of DIA, I serve as a speech paragons coach. So I'm just going to make a brief communication to the speakers, and I'm going to be directing you where our convening room is going to be. That's where we are going to have the rest of the communication regarding public speech from. So as you're coming from this room, right at the registration table, on your right side, there is a hallway, and the public speech convening room is opposite room 210. That is where we are going to be convening from, and I request that after the communication from the Chief Adjudicator debate, we all move to that room immediately. Thank you, and have a good day.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so my name is Henry. I'm gonna just start with a couple of things. First of all, anything relating to equity, in case of any complaints that you have anything, rounds, even if you have an issue with a round that is going on, I suggest that you come directly to me and confide in me, because I am here for you and you're here for us. So I am here to be of service to you. So if anything, let's not, let things blow out of proportion. Come directly to me. We'll most likely be able to handle the issue. If it's beyond me, we have OC, we have enough people here to deal with a specific issue. The second is going to be on, the tournament itself. I know everybody has taken time to prepare. Emotions run high. So if you win, your preparation has paid off. If you lose, it's simply because one team has prepared more than the other. So let's not get so, out of our heads so much. But we are here to help you to make this tournament a very conducive tournament for everyone, and we're here for you. Firstly, I think the rooms. The rooms in of themselves are going to be as follows. I request that you listen attentively to me, because we're not going to go all through this a lot of time. Attention is the most, listening is a very important skill for a debater. So there are 3 rooms on the right. When you move out of the hallway where you are registering, on the right there are 3 rooms. There is Kafu, Karuma, and Victoria. So you just take that route. The rooms are on that lane. They are well labeled. So there is Kafu, Karuma, and Victoria. In the same breath, when you move out in the hall where you are registering, on your left, there is Makshon, there is Sipi, and there is Bujagali. Yes? We are together on that, right? Now, on the ground floor, there is a room called Lion. The ground floor before you took the stairs. There are going to be 2 rooms on that floor. There is a room called Lion, it's labeled. There's another room called Mufasa. It's at the extreme end of the corridor. So it's not a room, it's going to be outside, so you'll be seeing it. The judges in of themselves have been also told, so the judge for that room will also assist you in organizing in time. The other one is going to be at the entrance of the registration here. That's going to be the other room. I'll give you the name later on. But that's going to be the remaining room, and I'll be directing you. So you won't be alone in this. You can come back and check on the draw, and I think in and around we'll be very willing to help you to move on to that. Let's move on basically the thing that everybody's here for, the judging staff. I think
all judges have been briefed, but not just that. We're able to lobby the best of judges we can find literally in the country. So it means they are well tested, they know what they're doing, we trust them, and they've been able to deliver. This is not their first tournament. You've seen them at very many tournaments, regionals, nationals, and they've delivered. So today won't be any different. So they've been briefed on what you expect of them, but also what we expect from you is something very simple: time management. Time management is very key for us to run this tournament. It's a one-day tournament, and everybody needs to go back to where they've come from in time. So time management is very key. That goes, and as far as if you've been allocated to a room, move there immediately. If you've been given an instruction, let's see through another instruction. Let's work together to make it a smooth tournament. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to read the names so that you can know your code names. So we do this, and I'm going to explain this with Tab. So what Tab does is that it allocates a code name to ensure that there are no biases with institutions. They give you a random name, so the judge won't know your institution. They just know the code name. Having that code name becomes your team name all through the tournament, right? And that's very crucial. So I'm going to read speaker names and then give you your code name, what your code name is. Talemwa Moses, Shalom, if I butcher your name, I'm very sorry. Sharon Kadodo and Susan Rachel. Could you raise your hands? Yeah, your team name is Team Avengers, right? So you could note that down. Boita Alvin, Nero Isaac, and Ategekiman Colin. Yeah, your team name is Team Berlin. Ngoru Collins, Renge Apollo, and Ochan Davis. Yeah, your team name is Catfish Account. Gukunda Masi, Achom Genevieve, and Namboria Pavin. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Masi Mugisha, Achom Genevieve, and Pavin Elizabeth. Yes? Oh, I see the hands now. Your team name is Team Elites. Ekisa Courage, Besemure Jesse, Chirabo Precious. Your team name is Flipped. Awori Precious, Apio Penina, Alimo Faith. Okay, your team name is Germany. Namtamba Prila, Brian, and Bravin Mwesije. Yeah? If one of you raises the hand, it's okay at least. I just want to know team presence. Okay, one more time. Prila, Brian, and Mwesije Bravin. Oh, lovely. Team name is Grizzles. Grizzlies, sorry. Masaile Chris, Muyeti Joshua, and Wazaba Joel. Your team name is going to be Ground Shakers. Sentongo Felix, Lubowa Edward Calvin, and Nagenda Raymond. Your team name is Horizons. Adupa Jerome, Tamale Jahazi, and Daniel. Your team name is Little Dinos. Wandera James, Wakameri Gideon, and Maketi Innocent. Your team name is Mbases. Interesting. Muonge Hashim, Nyanjiri Nusra, and Biaruhanga Shama. Your team name is Novice Trio. Chalimpa Silva, Mandu Valeria, Mubiru Joshua. Your team name is Ox. Omo Edrin, Aoma Joan, Awori Lillian. Your team name is Peel Kings. Interesting. Atuhura Praise, Mukisa Joel Cloves, Sally Steven. Your team name is Rhetorica. Namuso Vyafibi, Nawaka Sumin, Sereka Gerald. Your team name is Team Mogeza. Interesting. Mwanguzi Jesse, Agenos Rebecca, Abba Trevor. Your team name is the Crested Crane. Gonja Daudi, Mulindwa Prosper, and Mugabe Timothy Adriel. Your team name is the Genius. Samuel Kwagala, Akaya Ephraim, Chintu Joel. Your team name is Trojans. Nuwagaba Innocent or More Innocent, and Chisule Swabra. Your team name is Winter Bunnies. Okay, so those names were selected prior registration by your patrons. Now you are aware of them. How does Tab work? Tab is not, no one operates Tab, is an automated algorithm to keep track of scores and data put into it. So your pairings aren't made by us, they're made by the algorithm based on team strength, the number of wins you have per speaker point. So you're not meeting someone weak, you're meeting someone of equal strength. It's power paired all through, and yeah, outrounds are fold draws, so that's power protection. The other is other important thing is, I think it is very important that in case you have anything, you please come in. So yeah, I think that is it for the tab briefing, right? So I've allocated the rooms and the tab and the draw. So before I read the draw, and the motion is gonna be, I think, shown on the screen, public speakers, kindly move to room Nile right now. Room Nile 203. As you move out, it's on your right. Your briefing is going to be awaiting for you there. Okay, so I think for the rest, it's debate. I request you listen attentively to your rooms. Okay, in Victoria, we are gonna have, in room Victoria, like I said, that's outside on your right. Sorry, yeah, that's outside on your right. You have Team Mogeza in proposition, Horizons in opposition. Debaters don't move out before they get the motion. In Team Mufasa, which is on the ground floor, it's Team Crested Crane in proposition versus Team Pilkings in opposition. In room Karuma, which is again on the right as you move out the hallway, it's Team Avengers in proposition, Team Catfish Account in opposition. In room Kajera, which is going to be just outside here on the registration, so you just stay around there while you came in on registration, they will find you. You'll have Team Mbasses in proposition and Team Little Dinos in opposition. In the auditorium, which is this room, you're going to have Team Elite in proposition, and you're going to have Team Rhetorica in opposition. In room Lion, which is also on the ground floor, you have Team The Genius in proposition, Team Trojans in opposition. In room Maction, which is on the left as you move out the hallway, you have Team Grizzlies in proposition, you have Team Germany in opposition. In room Kafu, which is going to be on your right, you're going to have Team Flipped in proposition and Team Winter Bunnies in opposition. In room CP, which is on the left as you move out the hallway, you're going to have Team Berlin in proposition. You're going to have Ground Shakers in opposition. Lastly, in room Bujagali, which is also on the left as you move out the hallway, you're going to have Team Ox in proposition, and you're going to have Novice Trio in opposition. Your motion. So this is a prepared motion, so it means you don't have any prep time. You immediately move to the rooms. Your judges will find you there. Speech time is 3 minutes, no reply. This is in the interest of time, and just to ensure that we have a smooth running of the tournament. And yeah, all the best to the teams. The motion. The motion that you have for that day for round 1 is, this house would prioritize digital literacy education over traditional drama and sports in secondary schools. I'll repeat the motion again. And it's on the screen. This house would prioritize digital literacy education over traditional drama and sports in secondary schools. If you want to confirm the draw, I'm only here for exactly 5 minutes. So I request that you come and confirm your draw immediately. Best of luck to all teams. If you have all the information you need, to your rooms now. Thank you.
Drown out the noise. Listen to the sound of my voice. And just take a second to refill.
Judges, the draws are live, so you can move to the rooms and find the students there. Let me come within a bit. I am here for 1 more minute. See me now or hold your peace.
Turn up the speakers. It's DJ Cypher Lead in the mix. The mix.